This is being a superhero? I'm just stopping crap from happening at any given moment. I'm not doing really anything worthwhile. And when I fail, my God, I fail big. Here's your look at the new Diamond Select, Invincible, Mark Grayson. Mark Grayson is teenage superhero Invincible. He was a normal high school senior with a normal part-time job and otherwise normal life, except his father Nolan is the superhero Omni-Man, the most powerful superhero on the planet. At the age of 17, Mark begins to display superpowers which come from his father being a member of the Vultramite race, who, according to Nolan, pioneer the galaxy on a mission of benevolence and enlightenment. Just before we get a closer look at the brand new Invincible Mark Grayson, let me first thank the folks over at Diamond Select, who made this review possible by sending this figure my way for us to have a look at. Let's bring out the ruler, figure out just how tall the figure stands. I'm going to put it right up to the very top of his head. He's a little taller than 7 inches. I think looking at this, it looks like the figure's about 7¼ inches in height, or about 18½ centimeters tall. The figure gets quite a lot in the way of accessories. Starting first, he comes included with a display stand. The display stand serves as 2 purposes, really. Right now, you can see there's an adjustable neck which has 4 adjustable knuckle joints to it that you can adjust and use for a flight stand if you really want to. Or, you can also take off the neck completely and just use as a regular display stand. As you can see, there's a peg right there, and that will attach to the underside of the figure's feet. He actually has 2 working holes to go with. And again, you can just attach it onto the display stand. If you want to just have him like in a museum pose, you can certainly do that as well. I'm sure most people probably picking this figure up will likely want to put Mark in a flight pose. And you can certainly pull that off by using, again, the adjustable neck that comes included with it. One thing I will say, though, is taking this out of the packaging, I noticed that each of the individual knuckle joints were extremely tight. I would recommend, if you are looking to pick this figure up for yourself, to go in there with a screwdriver first, just to loosen things up. Because especially being the nature of these being plastic, clear plastic even, you wouldn't want these to be breaking on you. Like I said, the joints are really, really tight on these. But if you wanted to have them in a flight pose, simply take the figure off the display stand, attach the post back into the hole, and then from there, you can just bring this around, bring this down, and you can actually attach it just on the back of the figure's torso. See right there? There's a little hole. That just plugs into place. You can actually have them in a flight pose as well. Now, that will, of course, depend on how much. You really don't even necessarily need all the knuckle joints either. The beauty of these as well is that you can detach these. So if you have it too long and you find it's not really working for your display, you can easily just take off the parts that you don't want to use. So for example, let's just remove this one here, and maybe we'll go with a smaller length of post, just like that. And then again, that will just attach onto the figure's back. So you can do that if you want to have them in a flight pose. This neck actually does serve one other purpose as well. I'm just going to put it here for 1 second. I guess we'll put the figure back here for 1 second as well. Some of his other accessories, baseball related, he does come with himself a catcher's mitt. The catcher's mitt, instead of something that would go over top of his existing hand, what they've done instead is they've actually sculpted the hand inside the glove. So you really are just replacing the hand to give him the hand that has the catcher's mitt. It's a nice looking catcher's mitt, decently painted here in a kind of a lighter beige color. And he does also come with 2 variations of baseball. One, and the more likely one to be lost if you're not careful, a little tiny ball that you can hold in his hand, or you can also put it inside the catcher's mitt. Just be careful that while you're doing this, you don't have it rolling off, because it's so small, something like this would be lost quite easily. He comes also with a second variation of the baseball. As you can see, it does have, it does have some force behind it. As you can see, it's flying through the air, and they've done that just using translucent plastic. This, I suppose, could be attached to one of his hands. I'm going to talk about one of his hands here in a second. But he does have a gripping hand, so you could put the baseball into this hand as well. Or if you want to have him throwing the ball, I guess the workaround to that is you can take the bit of plastic and slot it in between his fingers, kind of looking like he's throwing. Is that a curveball? It possibly could be a curveball. So you can have him actually looking like he's throwing the ball that way. Or what you can also do too, on the bottom of the ball, you can see there's a hole. That hole can also attach to the top of the post. Fancy that. So you can actually have it looking as if Mark's just thrown the ball and the ball is in midair. A nice workaround. I mean, again, using the display stand that we already have already, making way of using that for the baseball is actually a nice touch. I think that was smart on their part. Talking about the other hands that he comes included with, he currently has in his forearms right now, closed fists, but Mark also comes included with a pair of flat palms. Of course, if you want to have him in a flight pose, that would certainly come in handy, giving him flat palms like this. The hands are decently painted. A little light on the skin color, but we'll talk more about that in a second. One thing, though, I did want to point out, though, was that it seemed like the figure was missing a hand. I don't know if I can grab the tray that comes included with the figure. Here's the tray right here. We're going to sort of play guesses as to what was all in here. Well, here's the baseball, right? Here's the baseball that has the, the wind behind it. Here's the display stand. But if you see right here, he actually has the catcher's mitt, 2 flat hands, and 2 gripping hands. However, though, unfortunately, the figure didn't come included with it, or at least the one that I got didn't come included with it. It came with 1 gripping hand, sure, but it didn't come included with a second one of these. So if you, for example, if you want to put the catcher's mitt into his hand, let's go ahead and just remove his hand, which, by the way, are closed fists. You can see right there. Let's go ahead and just remove this hand, though. And we'll put in the catcher's mitt hand. Oops, I not dropped the ball in the process. I know exactly where it went. Hold on, you know what? Hold on 1 second. I want to grab the ball before I lose it. Forgetful me, forgot that actually the ball was inside the catcher's mitt. So luckily I did retrieve the ball. But the point I did also want to make as well is that the other gripping hand would have gone right here. And the only hand that actually got included with the figure I got was the gripping hand that goes on this side. So unfortunately, in the case of my figure, I can't have him holding the ball on the one side because I don't have the proper hand to do the job. It's a bit disappointing, but I would imagine, again, it probably was just a factory error. The one that I received was just missing that one extra hand. If you have this figure for yourself, let me know down below in the comments section if your figure actually did include that other gripping hand. Other accessories that come included with him as well. Let's just put the figure down here. He comes with part of looks like a stone piece. You can see that there's several rod irons sticking out from the side. It's a decently sculpted looking boulder of rock that he can carry around with him. He does have, I guess, you can go back to the well again, pulling that gripping hand. You take one of the rod irons and sort of just attach it through his hand like this so he can actually carry it around with him, almost as if he's carrying around a purse. It's European, so you can actually do that as well. These, by the way, are softer plastic. They're less likely to break, really. But again, nicely sculpted little accessory piece. Not so little, but something that comes included with the Invincible figure. The last thing that comes included with him as well, we'll just kind of move everything out of the way, is he comes also with an alternate head sculpt. I do really like the head sculpt, but again, that's a point that I'm going to be making probably more commonly during the course of this review, is I find like the skin color of his face is very, very pale. I mean, I certainly would not find fault or point out flaws I would find with the sculpting of the face. The face is actually really good. The only thing I could be critical about is I would say, like, again, the skin color is way too pale on this guy. He should have been a lot darker than what they actually made him. And just to show you the 2 variations of the head sculpts, matter of preference more than anything else. I kind of, really like the defaulted head sculpt myself, but if you did want the more angry-looking expression, you can certainly go that route as well. Let's put all those accessories now away. Actually, you know what? Let's just change the hand out too. To change the hand, I'm sure I already showed you this by now, but just rotate the hand. Because again, the pegs are so small, you really don't want those breaking on you. And let's just put back the fist hand for the time being. Getting a closer look now at the figure itself. Proportionately, I think he's got a good build to him. He's very slender, very lean in the body. Spin this around so you can see it from all the sides. The coloring is really good on this as well. Yellow would always be a difficult color to try to match. I find like the top yellow area here doesn't quite match the yellow that's right along here in the front of his torso. It's pretty close, but it almost looks like this part here is plastic yellow, and down below here is actually painted yellow. The blue is good, and again, I like the head sculpt. If I could be at least any little bit critical, it would just be the fact that I find like the skin color is just too pale. Okay, that's the last time I'm going to mention it. But the head sculpt is good. Very slender looking face on Mark. Sculpting of the hair is really good on this one as well. I don't know if I've seen this type of body been used before by Diamond Select. I don't know if they would consider using this body again, but it certainly would work really well for a character like a Spider-Man down the road, where you would want a really lean, mean-looking figure. Very muscular, but yet very, very slender of a build. It really works well, especially for a character like Mark Grayson. For the figure's articulation, let's go ahead and look at that right now. The head rotates all the way around. It looks up and looks down. Not much, though. That's to the extent right there. Wait, you missed it? Let's do it again. Up and down. Slight rock back and forth, but yeah, you can rotate the head all the way around. As for the arms do come out. Not quite. Little less than 90 degrees. I find actually this arm here goes further out than this one does here. The arms do also rotate all the way around. There's a bicep swivel. Single hinge elbow. Kind of a shame that they didn't do a double hinge on the elbow. Might have had something to do with the fact that the arms are so slender as they are. Didn't want to put a double hinge in there. He only has a single hinge, unfortunately. Again, when it comes to his hands, the hands rotate all the way around. Again, you can kind of see yellow plastic, painted yellow. Doesn't quite have the two matching up. They're pretty close. Almost there. Almost. The figure does have an upper torso ball joint. Nothing in the lower waist, of course. He has the leg splits, which sort of reminds me of like the old days of DC Universe figures. Kind of the way they put the cut in there. The legs also go forward. They go back. About halfway up the thigh, there's a swivel cut that rotates the leg all the way around. Figure has a single hinge in the knee. No articulation here, because the articulation is all up in the waist, in the thigh area there. And then his feet go back and forth this way. And there's also a nice ankle pivot too. Nice looking figure. I really like the way that this one turned out. We are also going to be looking at, thanks to the folks over at Diamond Select, we're going to be looking at Omni-Man in an upcoming review, and I'm looking forward to having a look at that one as well. Proportionally, I really think like Mark Grayson turned out really good. Like, it's a type of body we haven't seen really used all that much before. It's certainly one of those cases as well where this is kind of the way that I wish Marvel Legends bodies could have been. Like Marvel Legends, by their the way they're constructed, generally just look like a bunch of joints all sort of slapped together. Whereas this one actually feels like it's a little more streamlined. It looks like a proportionally and accurately proportioned body. If, again, anything could be critically mentioned about this particular figure, while the sculpt is really good, I feel like, again, Mark Grayson's skin color is a little too pale. If they had just warmed it up a little bit, it actually works to be a really nice looking figure. Nice looking accessories. Still wish, again, I think I was missing a hand with the one that I got received here. But other than that, it's a really nice looking Mark Grayson, especially if you're a big fan of Invincible. This might be a figure you may want to be picking up and adding it to your collection. Prior to the Amazon cartoon series Invincible, I had little to no knowledge of Mark Grayson or Omni-Man or any of the other characters that inhabit the Invincible universe. I sure would recognize the characters from the comics I would see at the local comic book store, but never really had any desired interest to pick up an issue and read straight through it. Maybe if I did, I would be an earlier fan than what I am now. Me actually even knowing about the Invincible cartoon series was more fluke than anything else. Popping up one day in my social media feed and YouTube, I just happened to come across a clip, probably you guys know where this is going, entitled Omni-Man vs. the Guardians of the Globe. It seemed interesting enough. The animation looked good, so I decided to give it a watch. Shocked by the horror of how much gore and excessive violence was just in that one clip alone. Had me hooked, and I've watched the rest of the series. If you haven't had a chance, by the way, to watch the Invincible series, kind of consider it like a superhero coming of age, character trying to discover his new powers, and sort of mixed with the excessive gore that you would expect to see in an anime series. It's definitely not something I would recommend for kids, but if you haven't had a chance to check out Invincible, do yourself a service and give it a watch. Now, taking the character of Mark Grayson from the screen of the Invincible cartoon, translating it as a plastic figure, I think Diamond Select has done a pretty good job here. The character looks like his cartoon counterpart. Skin's a little on the pale side, I will admit. I wish his colors were a little bit darker. Like if you look on the back of the packaging here, Omni-Man, I think, is of proper warmer colors of skin tone that I kind of wish that Mark could have had as well. Other than the skin being really pale, I like the proportions of his body. Like he's a little limited when it comes to the top of his thighs. They split out the same way as like the earlier days of the DC Universe figures, but that's not bad. That's not bad. You can still get him in a nice splits pose. Or if you want to, making use of the flight stand that I've got right now here in Final Looks, you can also put him in a flight pose as well. Figure comes with 2 swappable head sculpts, a bunch of swappable hands. Not really sure why for mine specifically I was missing a hand. I checked around just to make sure I didn't drop it out of the packaging prior to hitting the record button, and yeah, sure enough, no hand. For some reason, I'm missing the one. He comes with 2 different variations of the baseball. Comes with the catcher's mitt, and he comes with that big concrete cinder block that he can carry around with him as well. I'm probably for the time being going to have him displayed in a flight pose. That is, I'm sure, until I actually open up Omni-Man, and then maybe I'll have the 2 pitted against with one another. But again, really liking the look of these figures. And again, all because of that one YouTube clip was the whole reason why I got into Invincible in the first place. It wasn't the comics, it was a YouTube clip, Omni-Man versus the Guardians of the Globe. A big thank you, though, to the folks over at Diamond Select who have provided this sample of the Invincible Mark Grayson that we could have a look at in this review. Have you guys seen the new Invincible series? If you have, let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of it. And maybe for a video question for you, thrown out to you, the viewing audience. Has there ever been a comic run of a character that you never followed, but you were introduced to a character through a different means, like a cartoon series or a live-action movie? Have you ever had a character that you've started liking, not because, again, you saw him in the comics, but because you remember seeing him in the cartoon or in the movie, as that was the first time that you were introduced to the character? Let me know down below in the comments section. And hey now, if you are new to this channel, you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notification so yes, you're getting those friendly reminders of whenever new videos are going to be popping up. And just a friendly reminder to you as well that the review of Omni-Man will be coming your way just right around the corner from this one. So make sure you keep your peepers peeled to this channel. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.